Testing 1 2 1 2 1 2. Quick audio check here. One two one two. Okay, seems like it's all right. Okay, well, it's been a little while since I did one of these. Undoubtedly, most of you are aware that I had a nice little incident while I was out traveling a couple weeks ago. With, well, my post on Facebook kind of says it all, but basically, some lazy, opportunistic, cowardly motherfuckers decided to steal some of my stuff while I was out. Take advantage of all the information that people like me, people in ProSync Network and other places have put online to share our love for this stuff and maybe provide little hints and tips and tricks and education about stuff on a small level. But basically, encourage people to make stuff, share stuff, and make friends through all this stuff. And as with anything good, it can be turned to bad by some idiots online who want nothing better but to destroy and not create. So, no doubt they bought it. They quote unquote bought it from my house when I wasn't here, and they probably used it for their own purposes. They're too lazy to do the research, save up some money, work hard, do all this kind of stuff to actually, buy their own gear, to make their own music, to do whatever they're going to do with it. Maybe they're just going to put it up and show off for friends and never play a damn thing. And a lot of people do that, and that's fine. Everyone in the hobby has different levels of stuff, but they clearly took stuff that was on my streams, and some of the stuff is unusual or hard to find, but it's not your average stuff a lot of people necessarily have or want to play even. And so anyway, it's gone. I've lost it, and I still have plenty of gear to play. I'm not going to let them ruin my year or the rest of my life. Just move on and keep going. You protect yourself. So I've taken means to protect myself. All the neighbors also know. All the cops have also been alerted. Local shops and other places online have been alerted, etc., etc. But there's only so much you can do. So, no doubt they have it for good. They probably won't sell it, or they'll give it to friends or whatever, or sell it to friends, and it'll never end up on the market to be tracked in the first place. And that's just the way it goes. So I'm here just to have fun and continue doing what I'm doing. I'm not going to let as they say, don't let the bastards get you down. And I won't. So here we go. One I haven't demoed for a while, or maybe ever even, is the old classic Roland VA, the JP-8000. Basically the first real crazy super saw synth that made trance people go nuts and techno heads and all kinds of stuff. But it has a lot of other cool stuff to offer, as well as some pretty amazing patches with layers and splits and dual patches at the same time. And so it's pretty cool. I mean, it can at least do two sounds at once. It's a lot of things these days, they're monotimbral. They don't have layers. They don't do splits. They're just basically a pretty fat patch of some kind. But in this case, like as you'll see in this first patch I'll demo, called Chariots, which will be obvious when you hear it, it's actually it's a multi-patch. So one layer is MIDI channel 2, one layer is MIDI channel 1. Right now my controller is set to MIDI channel 2, That's out of the camera view. It's a little theory board controller, just to make it interesting for some fun, spicy chords and stuff. I like using weird scales. This is a pentatonic scale from Japan called Hirajoshi, and this is Hirajoshi D. And you'll hear it basically has 5 steps. It's not an octave, but that gives you that flavor that you don't get in some Western music, which is kind of interesting. And it can easily be used for nice melodic stuff that you might hear on the radio. But if I play it a certain way, you'll go, oh, that sounds Japanese. But I'm not going to play with Japanese instruments. I'm playing with some various synthesizer patches and stuff. But if I come in here and play with a koto sound, you'll go, oh yeah, it sounds like someone playing a koto or shamisen or some kind of classic Japanese instrument. Anyway, enough of me yakking. You want to hear the synth, but just a quick preamble. It's pretty cool. This is the oscillator section here for oscillator 1. And so the first one right off the bat is a supersaw. So this patch uses a supersaw. Oscillator 2 is a sawtooth, just a standard sawtooth wave. But as you get into later patches, you'll see, I mean, I have, there's a supersaw, there's some triangle modulation thing, there's a noise oscillator, there's a feedback oscillator. It's pretty wild. I mean, I don't remember seeing many feedback oscillators around, but there could be another gear that I'm forgetting. And then your standard square, saw, and triangle. So to get sine waves, you have to go in and filter it and make your own. So you probably have to use a little oscilloscope. These older synths, they have a screen with patch names, but they don't have any kind of waveform imaging, so you can't tell when you've made certain waves other than using your ears. So one time I might do another demo of this with some oscilloscope of some kind, or a nice little app on my iPhone, which is very similar to an oscilloscope, just for audio. And then you can actually see as the waves morph and learn how to use it that way. It's kind of fun. So here we go. I'm going to start with chariots. So we're going to start with Hirajoshi in this configuration. It's Hirajoshi D, so I'm going to start on D. So you got a nice little arpeggio going. Now, this is actually a split patch. So down here is the ARP, up here is a little lead of some kind. Now that's MIDI channel 1, this is MIDI channel 2. So right now I'm controlling MIDI channel 2 below on my theory board. You can't see it, just so I can get some fun little things. And then I'll bring in some manual up here, and then maybe switch to MIDI channel 1 before I leave this patch, because most of the patches I'm going to use aren't splits. So I'm just going to stay on one MIDI channel. So here we go. I have a little bit of fun here. Oops, I messed that up. Hold on. There we go. Hold on, I hit a weird button on this thing. Just a second. Okay, now we're back where we are. So, real quick explanation before I go any further. You're like, what the hell was he doing? Well, one of the issues when they designed the theory board, the firmware was 100% completed. So there's some cool quick buttons at the very top that allow you to go from a pentatonic to a 12-tone scale to a few custom scales. You can, in a later rev, you could actually custom build your own. Right now they pre-built some into there. So I don't have to go diving through a little menu. I can just go quick buttons. Well, occasionally when you're playing, you get a little vigorous. You hit one of those buttons by mistake. And even if you hit the one you're already on, which is a pentatonic, they forgot to turn off the patch change on those buttons. They're sending spurious patch changes to the gear. So now all of a sudden I've just changed the patch. And if I hit a different button, not only did I change the patch, but I also changed the scale in one quick button push. So there's the thing you can use, like a MIDI Solutions event processor, and that will actually filter out some of those things. You hook it to the end of this guy, and it won't send that crap down line. And you can hit all the buttons you want extra, and it won't cause any problems. So because the firmware wasn't finished, I have to use some intermediary to fix that. But I haven't hooked it up yet, so just bear with me. Hit it again. That's exactly why I'm resetting it. So now we're back to where we were. Hey, what's up, Ramsey? Sorry I haven't seen the chat yet. So thanks for watching. So here we go. See, I'm wrong patch again. Now you can just do the ARPs here if you want. There's the split point. So I'm going to start over there. Sometimes the delay gets out of hand, and you gotta work with the delay. And so while that's playing, so that's just some live ARPing with playing pads on the thing. So let's do a little of this stuff. Getting the notes of the Hirojoshi scale. There you go. Just missed it up there. So that's fun. You have a split preset, two things at once. The nice thing about the theory board is I can. You guys have seen what it looks like before. I'll show you real quick. Right side is melody, left side is chord. So you dial in your chord that you want, and you can have the right side and left side the same MIDI channel. You can have different MIDI channels, but because I was having fun with that ARP on MIDI channel 2, I made them both MIDI channel 2, just so it's a little more interactive with just that piece. And then I could bring in some playing on the keys for the other stuff. But a lot of the other patches I'm going to play are either dual or single, which means they're just on one MIDI channel firing off. Essentially, we'll see as I go through. I might have to go in and tweak some channel settings. So right now I'm going to change the MIDI channel on this guy, so it's no longer MIDI channel 2. And that way I can have more patches work without having to jump around. Okay, so now they're both MIDI channel 1, and you'll see without changing the preset, now I'm playing that lead line that's over here. And I'm getting chords over here of the same lead line. So now I can go back to playing the ARP with the keyboard. And I can mix it up this way. Oops. Oops, sorry. That was not good. That's right. Okay, now I got it. It's a bit of a challenge, but practice. Again, I'm just winging this, so with some practice I wouldn't screw it up so badly. But you get the idea. Split patches to start. 2 sounds at once. Nice bitimbral synth. Good stuff. Wish more synths would be at least bitimbral these days. I think Hydrosynth Deluxe is bitimbral, but you got to buy the deluxe model to get bitimbral. The original 49 key Hydrosynth is monotimbral. All right, what do we got now? Some of these I haven't listened to in a long time, so I'm just going to wing it. If they don't sound good, I'm going to move on. But I will be tweaking some stuff here and there just so you can hear the different stuff. This one's still using Super Saw. It's called Physoid Bass. You guys let me know if the level's okay. My pre-test sounded okay, but how does it sound on the stream? Sorry, I missed the chat. Yeah, no Hans Zimmer tonight. First of all, I don't want to play a bunch of stuff that's potentially copyright claim material. Not a strike, but a claim. And this is more just a synth demo. I make my own music on YouTube. I really don't do many covers. I've done a few covers of like John Carpenter, Tangerine Dream, Fabio Frizzi from the Zombie movie, Ennio Morricone, a few other things here and there. Some Giorgio Moroder. But I generally don't do a lot of covers. I'd rather either make fun sounds with synths, do demos, or make my own music. It's just my thing. But I understand a lot of people like that, which is fine. It's just not my thing. Plus, I won't play it well since I haven't practiced it, and that just makes it sound even worse. So I appreciate the suggestion, but I generally don't do that kind of stuff, especially not live. It's just going to sound like crap live. So, but if you're here for the synth demos, definitely please stay for the synth demos, because I'm just demoing some aspects of this. Some people may not have gone past the presets. I'm going to tweak some stuff. So, for example, this is in Super Saw. I'm going to use the board to control it so my hand doesn't block the whole thing here. So we're in Super Saw here. There's a shape. So that one's not doing much on that setting. This is a LFO depth tweaking here, so I can give a little variation of this. Oscillator 2 is a sawtooth, and let's see what it's doing here. I think the mix is off. Hold on. So mix there. So there's the mix. Here's the oscillator 1 and 2. Here's 1. Here's oscillator 2. So oscillator 1 purely. Here, thicken up the Super Saw. And then you have some other tweaks here. So that's oscillator 1. Let's go to oscillator 2, which is just a regular saw. And it's not doing a whole lot here. I can change the tweak the pitch of it here. So you get some decent controls here. It's not a very deep synth. There are some stuff in the menus. You can do extra stuff, but I'm not going to do any menu diving, especially since I don't have a camera on the screen. It kind of doesn't make sense if you guys can't see what I'm doing. This is just to show some basic slider stuff. And again, I haven't used it consistently for a while, so some of the stuff I'm winging it, and I don't want to get too lost in the weeds because it also trying to showcase some of the cool sounds on this thing. And there's a filter section here, so of course you got your mandatory. Let's go back to the stock sound here, and we'll just do the filter thing. That's probably thumping your speaker right there. Got some serious low end there. Some people complain about the filter. But, you know, I enjoy it. It's a VA, so it's not going to be super smooth or super high character like you'd get on a really nice Real Moog or Real Prophet synth or something like that. But anyway, just preset I don't remember, just messing around here. What's this one? Oh, this is a feedback oscillator. So here's no wait, this is a noise oscillator, sorry. So the controls aren't doing too much on this one. But it's a cool, swirly, noisy patch. Let's try the other oscillator here. Not doing a whole lot, but that's using a noise oscillator with some special effects on it. Let's go to another patch. Here's a feedback oscillator. This one's called Feedback Lead. So if I turn the modulation down, it doesn't do that much. But now I can sweep through the modulation. Really fun sound. I think it is. So that's a feedback oscillator. One of the other cool. So you heard super saw. Now it's feedback oscillator. What else we got here? Another noise oscillator. Sounds like. Messed that up, sorry. I did that trick again where I hit the top button and I just changed scales too. Hold on. Like I said, that's why I explained up front. If I bump something when I'm not looking, that's what's going to happen. Let's see. Boom. Boom. I really got to hook up that MIDI box to block that. Those spurious commands are super annoying. I wish they'd fix that firmware. Okay, that's cool. So that one's called Trancer. It's got like a trance gate kind of effect. Whisper. So this is super saw, but it has a spooky What's up, Dave? Volume low? Sorry, let me fix that. Speech is too low or music? Because I'm watching a couple different VU meters here and some are conflicting. So I did some changes to my setup. So I don't want to make sure I'm not distorting anything. Let me turn up the synth a little bit. Some of the patches are also just lower. Some are just balls out patches. What do you guys think? Is it okay? I love waiting the 20 seconds for YouTube to go around the world and come back. So. That's Whisper. Oh, here's another split. It's called Dance Split. So this one's much louder. This is also too loud. Probably also have to talk louder. I'm sure. Hopefully that's better. This one doesn't work well with chords. So there's a split. So let's see if there's a little ARP down here. must be distorting now. The VU meter's totally pegging. I also have it set to auto volume on StreamYard, just so I don't have to baby the volume so much. Maybe that's not helping. So this isn't distorting like hell for you guys. It's a different MIDI channel, so my controller down here still has the MIDI channel 1. This is MIDI channel 2. Like a juicy 303 kind of bass. Okay. Let's see. It says comb filter, not 2. So I have comb strings. Well, that one's low. Okay, cool. Thanks. No distortion is good. This is why I like this scale, because it's only pentatonic, but you can get some pretty nice little combos out of it. See what these chords sound like down here. Boy, those are not coming too loud at all. Let me try another one. Let's go to... Some of these I've used... I've had this synth for a long time. Some of these I've used with my friend before he moved out of the area. The guy taught me basically hardware jamming stuff, so... There's some great patches on here. I just need to find them. It sounds like something right out of Thief, the Tangerine Dream soundtrack. Descender, and I think it's a dual, so that's why you're getting these fat. And I think it's also using 2 MIDI channels because it sounds different when I play a key versus playing my pads. Saws, each oscillator 1 and 2. If I go to oscillator 1, let's go. That's cool. What is this one? Glass Columns. It's a single, so I can play it for the pads. Another thing about JP-8000 is cool. It has this is when Roland switched to the bender. That has a nice deep mod built in the stick. Not just a little like on the Junos and stuff. Some of the old Junos and some of the older, like Alpha Juno and stuff, you can barely move the modulation. This one's a nice deep modulation, so let's see what this does. Not that much here, but you got your pitch, of course. And it's not on that patch. But you also have a ribbon. Which again isn't always turned on. So let's go to another patch. BPM pulsating. Fun. Let's see. 1979. Hey, what's up, Future Old Machines? Okay, so I think I'm still too low, so I will talk louder. And let's see what's 1979 patches. Nice portamento on there. To make sure it's a single patch, so I'm not missing anything on the keys. Very much like those Oberheim syncy sounds you get on Styx songs, things like that. So 79 is a good name for it. Let's see how it chords. It's okay, it's a little busy. Let's do elliptical. This sounds familiar. I think I used this one before. 26. MKS-80 Bell Space. This is a dual. So I can only hear one MIDI channel down here. And here's the other layer. So the controls over here on the side, got some effects controls, chorusing, delay, some filtering controls on top of some other performance controls over here that control the stick, the ribbon, other kind of stuff like you'd have on an old Juno or a Jupiter. We had a little section there that's more specific to performance versus the programming of the actual sounds. But the layout is basically, you know, LFO, oscillator 1, oscillator control. This is the where you control how they interact. Oscillator 1, oscillator 2, filter. It's a pretty decent section for filter. Amplitude, envelope. You got some arpeggiation section here. Various key modes. So I can actually come in here, pick a patch that actually is a single, dual, or split, and decide, no, I only want the single part of it. Or I want to split it instead of a dual. Stuff like that. And they have these layers. So upper and lower settings here. And then you have your basic presets and plenty of soft settings below, in this case above each button, which is part of your menu diving stuff. So I've yet to do very much of a deep dive inside the menus, but a few times I had to tweak some stuff for involving how the MIDI worked and things like that, and expression controllers, things like that. But generally I don't dive into too much on this model because there's so much cool stuff right here. But yeah, there's way more stuff to play with if you need to. So that was a nice little patch. Let's see, let's go. Oh, here you go. Legato TB-303. This is a single, so if I go down here, the latch takes precedence as a latch on the keys. There's not a latch when I do a MIDI controller to it. So if I go down here to the controller, so that's a fun one because I can just, if I want the ARP of the sequence 303, I can play it up here. If I just want to just figure out the notes and play a different scale even, I can. So I have to play it carefully because it's monophonic, the way it's set up. So the chord here doesn't work. If I hit chords, it just does one note. So that's fun. Let's go to another bank here. AKS sweep. I think I've used this before on a track. Oh yeah. And if I remember correctly, you can tweak it with this. Let's do it in the scale I'm using. Dynamic tempo switching with this, or you can go to the tempo knob, but that's fun. Let's see what the modulation does. Okay, it's not doing anything on that one. Now let's try it on the pads. And because you have delay effects here, you can go in here and tweak, you know. A little chorus to it. Get pretty crazy with it. So it's nice to have little controls right there. Let's see. 32 sweepers. That sounds familiar too. Oh yeah. There's a chord. It's not sending a lot of velocity on this thing for some reason. Yeah, that's a fun one. Used that one before for sure. This is called Giuliano. So down here, there's no ARP on this external. The chords here. Doesn't work very well on that one. Let's try this. Stargate. That does sound familiar too. Oh yeah, I use this patch a lot. Very nice. Dual minis. Oh, I'm going to try and do some mini mode here. Hey, Paul, what's up? Yeah, I don't know if there's a I don't think there's an emulation. My Roland Cloud is up to date, I think, but I haven't used it for a while, so I'll have to go see if they finally put something in there. As far as I know, they haven't. And since you guys brought up JP-8080, those who haven't had one, it's basically just a square boxy version of this without the keys. They added a vocoder. Typical Roland fashion, when they do some kind of a secondary unit, a module version, or a upgrade of some kind of slight upgrade, they always add a few things. Like this one, they add a vocoder. I think they're trying to compete with the I think it's around the same time as the Sirius, the Quasi-MIDI Sirius, which has a vocoder. So I'm thinking that's where they're trying to go with it. But you have probably extra oscillators, possibly, maybe some extra features I'm not aware of. Could be even an extra MIDI port. Sometimes some of these had 2 outs. At some point they started doing 2 outs on things instead of just in, out, through. Or even a second MIDI bus, so you get 32 channels. But again, I don't know the specs on the 8080. I've only seen them once in person. Never played one, but it's essentially this guy with a couple extra goodies and no keyboard. So dual minis. What's this one? It's pretty moky. That's pretty good. Got the legato mono. Let's see what the scale does for me here. Filter goes nuts if you let it. That's pretty cool. Spacescapes. Yeah, I've definitely played this one before too. Nice long release. Ah, yes, this is the one that has a little toot 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 in the background. It's another dual. So on MIDI channel 1, I'm playing on the pads here. It's not triggering it super loud, but you're hearing some little spacey bits. Toot 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 toot. But if I play it together, you hear it mostly when you let go, and it trails off with the toot 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 toot. So I've used that one a bunch. Trance floor, here we go. That's why the keyboard came out. It was very much used for dance and trance music, so. There's another dual, so it sounds thinner here. So here it's using a super saw, and looks like square wave over here. So I can do pulse width modulation here. Let's see. Super saw. There you go, super saw glory. Arctic No. That's a terrible name. All right, let's see. But it's a cool patch. Very nice. Smooth split. So here's another split. Something's wrong with the mod wheel. I think it's been disabled on one of these patches. Some of these patches. So that was kind of fun. Let's try that down here. Fanfare. Let me check the chat. Alrighty, let's see. Fanfare. First you got brass, right? It's gotta be. Sounds distorted as hell here. I gotta turn that down a tad. Is a dual, so down here it's going to be thinner. Apache Alarmist. Oh boy, some of these names, I gotta tell you. Cool patch. Nice. Now it's a dual, so down here it's going to be thinner. Just a nasty bit. So yeah, it's a pretty squelchy filter. 44. Ah, Last Emperor. That sounds familiar too. See, the keyboards get a little sticky. Sometimes the keys stick a tad. That's why I had this tape on this one, because it tends to stick more than any other one. So I just hit it a bunch before I start to play it, and it usually doesn't stick. I should have done that before. So you're not sticking some more? But if I do that a bunch before I start to play, they usually don't stick. I'm too lazy to take it apart and fix it, so. Okay. Sounds kind of like Last Emperor from Ryuichi Sakamoto and David Byrne. Is a dual. What does it sound like down here? So the R part is up here. Second layer. MIDI channel 2. This is Euro Neuro. Wow, that's bad. And again, no aftertouch. They just didn't do it, trying to save money. This is a dual, but it doesn't sound that busy. Let's see what the single sounds like. Yeah, there's the background part of it. Babylon. Another dual. I've used this before. This is nice. So it won't be as thick down here, but Babylon. String and whistle. Okay, this is like a what you call it? Can't remember his name right now. The Japanese guy does orchestral stuff. It's very whimsical sometimes. Tomita. So a nice little sound there. I'm not going to play too much of that one, but it's fun. Back to the 60s. That's a single, so let's see what we got here. Alright, a little organy sound. Wicked. Distorting and low output. Boy, I'm really batting 1,000 tonight. I don't have too much. There's too many things to adjust right now since I tweaked stuff around. I think a big part of the problem is the ATEM Mini basically set up. I think it forgot its Fairlight settings for audio. It's part of the problem. So no time to tweak that now. So I'll do the best I can. The problem is, again, some of the patches are quite loud compared to some other ones. So I do have StreamYard auto gating the manipulating the volume, so I don't have to sit and ride the fader, but it sounds like it's not helping that much anyway, so we'll see. I can always do another one of these. I just haven't fired up the 8000 in a while, so let's try Wicked. So that's just a single. It's okay. Velo Energy. Now they wrote energy like one of my physics instructors used to do, which is kind of annoying. NRG for energy. So I see that it brings back horrible memories of an annoying lecture, but here we go. Yeah, there you go. Velocity does. And that is a split. So this one's more plucky. That's more thumpy bassy. This one does. Very cute. Circuit bent. Yeah, I've used this before. This is a wild one. Let's see if it's mapped correctly. using the ribbon. It's all tricked out. Did a crazy noisy jam once with my friend. We were doing stuff in the old days with this patch, and I found it while we were playing. I would go, let's do this little solo thing, and it sounded very much like that. Just like the more notes you hold, the crazier it gets. Using ribbon. Very fun. Old memories. Arpeggio and Juno pad. Very Depeche Mode-y. Filter's locked on that one. Interesting. So that's a fun one. 55. Didgeridoo ribbon. Nice. So it's a didgeridoo with a ribbon. It was just before too. So that's using the feedback oscillator, which I played earlier, which is really cool. I love the feedback oscillator. So phase strings. Let's do a little. Nice little strings. 56. A couple more here. Dual synthy clavs. So it gets a split. Slightly different. laying there. Let's see, 58. Pulsing sweep. This sounds familiar too. Used this before too, yeah. Another dual. Alright. Well, don't want to go too long. Just wanted to fire up another little thingy. So, maybe, switch to the camera real quick for a few minutes. Let's get this microphone in a better position here. Got everything all turned around, so it's hard to do my normal setup here. Okay, almost there. So I can move that over there. Okay, I'll go for a little bit. I can actually look at the chat better now because my back was to the chat the way the camera was set up. Hey everybody. Let me fix this. This is too long now. This is all over the place. Alright. Much better. Now I can read the chat. What's new with everybody? I can hang for let's see here. Oh, wait a minute. What happened there? No. Happy. Hang for a little while longer if you guys want to jump in the StreamYard. Sorry, I didn't post a link earlier, but I wasn't sure how much my back to the screen. It wouldn't look, just me playing a synth would be kind of rude, so. Let's pin that message there so it stays. You guys can jump in if you want for a little while. I gotta go get some dinner, but I'm here for a little bit. I saw PSN ended kind of early today. I guess everyone was tired or had other stuff to do. That was another reason why I decided to do this, because you guys ended. Usually go to like 6 or 7 p.m. sometimes. So I thought, I'm already playing with some stuff in here and still clean up the mess those motherfuckers made in here. So I thought, what the hell, I'll come on here and have some fun. Yeah, it's good to make some more streams again. Can't let the bad things that happen to you get you in your way, and just keep doing what you want to do. There's always going to be some obstacles, so just get out there and do your shit, have some fun. Oh shit, there's one thing I forgot to demo. That's a good excuse to do right now. Let's sit here for a bit and relax because I was standing the whole time. So let's have a nice little relax, and then I'll quickly hook up a fun little thing at the end that I got. I always have these crazy Chinese gadgets advertised on Facebook and Instagram and all kinds of stuff, and occasionally I bite and get something fun. Other times it's just something kind of eh. This is pretty fucking cool, actually, and it was very cheap. So Z1 is safe. Yes, it is. That's one of those ones I would definitely go ballistic over. I really like the Z1 a lot. I mean, I'm pissed obviously about the whole lot, but certain key things were still here, so I went from homicidal mode to just really, really pissed off mode. But yeah. All kinds of bastards. All kinds of bastards out there. Anyone want to jump in for a bit? Even if it's just audio, you don't have to be on camera. Just come in and chat for a bit. Nobody wants to just look at my mug the whole time. Yeah, everything has a list. The stores have, I mean, Longhurst and some of the other guys are going to put it some other places for me, but stores have a list. Online places have a list. Whether they're going to use it or not, who knows. The cops have, obviously, the serial numbers and the items. You know, I sent what I could to an insurance company, but you never know with those guys. Sometimes they're dickheads about stuff. Most likely I have to eat a lot of the costs, which is another wonderful thing about this thing. But yeah, everyone's on alert. So the neighbors on alert, cops on alert, everyone I could pretty much notify. You guys are on alert, so you can just be careful with your own stuff. Robbie's going to set up a show at some point so we can discuss some of the details and precautions people should take that I clearly should have fucking taken, but you know, you trust people in the world, and that's your first mistake, you know. Protect yourself, then trust. Don't ever just trust people. It's just never going to work out. I mean, it sounds cynical, but hey, it is. Sorry. The shit doesn't happen when the world's a good place. The world is a fucked up place quite often. So, you just have to protect yourself. That's all you can do. Oh, you're going to eat? Okay, that's fine. Yeah, the insurance is, you know, the insurance is fine. You get your money back. But some of that stuff, hard to replace, hard to find a good condition, you know. And again, if these assholes are watching, as I said in the beginning of the stream, fuck off. You guys, you know, you don't work hard for your stuff. You want stuff for free. You probably don't even know how to play. Maybe just coveting stuff as like a trophy. Like, hey, look what I got. I didn't even have to pay for it. Whereas, you know, some schlub like me actually takes the effort to track the stuff down, learn what's good about it, find good deals, find stuff in good shape, try to do some little goofy videos once in a while for fun and for friendship, and also to, you know, maybe teach some people some stuff with, you know, whatever I happen to know, which compared to someone like Alex Ball is nothing. But you know, it's just fun and fun to share this stuff. And then when that shit happens, you just you know, some people would say, "Oh, I'm never doing it again. I'm going to be like a hermit," or whatever. It's like, well, that's not how I want to live my life. So if I did, I never would have done this stuff. What I should have done though is protect myself before I became more public, because you know, the tiniest fraction of what it's like for someone in Hollywood or some other celebrity where you get harassed, you get stalked. They may not steal your shit, but they'll harass you. They'll try to have some violence against you, or sexual assault, or some other horrible shit that happens out there with celebrities, with creeps. So you get fans who are overzealous. You get messed up people who just want to do harm. You get other people who just want to steal and live off of others, like barnacles, like scum of the earth, basically. That's what those guys are. So if they're happy being that way, hey, that's the choices they made. But don't expect people to lay down for it. I mean, I got caught off guard, but my friends would never do this. But any one of those assholes comes here again, I do have guns, so it's the saying. Don't start some shit you can't finish. Anyway, it's supposed to be a positive stream tonight. I was having fun, and I just had to vent a little bit as well. So that is about it. No one coming in, huh? All right, for 5 minutes, a little 5-minute chat. I'm hungry, but I'm not that hungry. It's only what time is it anyway? It's almost 9 o'clock, so I'm doing all right. I had actually a big late lunch, which is why I haven't complained about being hungry or going to eat yet, because it's big late lunch. I think I finished around 4:30 or something like that. That's a late lunch, but have a little snack later. I'll be all right. Little bit of a snack. Oh yeah, I forgot. Nora Blank V is on right now, so I missed his show. But anyway, good times. Just had to have another one of these. Haven't done one for a while. I was already here, like I said, doing some stuff, and I figured PSN ended early, so what the hell, I would do a little something. Most of the people are sleepy time now, so the normal people who would jump in and chat for a bit are most likely fast asleep. Maybe Wagyu. Maybe Wagyu's still up doing stuff, but he's too busy running the internet to watch the show right now, so second brunch, yeah. What about second breakfast? Lord of the Rings is great. And the music is great. I mean, Howard Shore, man, got to give it up to that guy. The amazing orchestral stuff in those scores, and fantasy music and ethnic stuff mixed in there, world music. Very, very cool. But then you go back to some of his old scores for David Cronenberg movies, like Scanners and Videodrome and stuff, and they're like synth heaven. There's just tons of crazy synthesis stuff. A lot of FM stuff, a lot of weird timbres. Spooky kind of psychological bits, clangorous kind of stuff, and it's totally different than the guy who did Lord of the Rings. So the guy definitely has range. Funny too, because before Ivan Reitman became anybody, if you watch David Cronenberg credits at all, Ivan Reitman was like a producer, like some kind of lower end producer on those old Cronenberg movies. I think he even produced the music at one point. So you see that guy's name pop up long before he did, major production stuff like Ghostbusters and things like that. It's kind of funny because he's Canadian. But yeah, Howard Shore, man, doesn't get enough credit for what he's done. Also, Michael Kamen. If you guys know Michael Kamen, died pretty young. He's got some good scores out there and great orchestrations for, even bands like Queensryche. Silent Lucidity. Beautiful chords and orchestration in there for this silly metal band. But it's Michael Kamen, man. That guy kicks ass. And also stuff for Pink Floyd, On the Wall. Um, did some stuff for Metallica. Nothing Else Matters. Um, so a lot of these guys are behind the scenes for a lot of people. If you're not into film scores or you're not into certain types of music like that, you would just never think about it. They go, "Oh, I didn't know Metallica could make music like that." It's like, no, they bring out a guy to do it because they're just metalheads. Um, so yeah, guys like that are great. And then some of them have a short life. So luckily they produced a lot of shit before they died, so they have something for people to enjoy forever. So it's nice. Um, yeah, Michael Kamen, Howard Shore, um, lots of stuff, and even other people you wouldn't even think are musically inclined or into music or even just editing music. Um, yeah, you guys know I've seen my streams from Pittsburgh, Living Dead Weekend. George Romero, huge George Romero fan, and I go on some other friends' podcasts sometimes that are music, movie related, things like that. And George was he edited the music for a lot of his movies. So he would take library music, learned it inside and out, what fits where. So Night of the Living Dead is full of library music. But he had help with that, doing that in the old days. But like in Dawn of the Dead, the theatrical cut, he did all kinds of like custom layering of stuff long before DAWs were around, any kind of computer-based thing. It was all like strips of magnetic film strip with the tracks on it, and he would sometimes stack 5-6 tracks to make a track. And he's just old school like that. He'd sit there with his crank and sit there and line stuff up, and then crank, sounds pretty good, you know, and then run it through the machine so it gets normal speed, and it's amazing. So I did a video on this channel on the live section about a month ago, maybe, on discovering all the elements he used to make the opening stinger for the theatrical cut of Dawn of the Dead. So I play a little clip, and you can hear the finished product, and then I source out the individual bits, and then I use this clever, I don't even know Audacity did multi-track audio. I just didn't even think about it for years. Until a couple years ago, I did something for Harbor Jams with Inky, the Grumpy Man in a Pub thing with Sasquatch and Inky. And so that was the first time I did it was like a 16-layer Audacity multi-track. It was crazy. So for this one, I just did like a 6-layer multi-track of how George put this together for the opening Dawn of the Dead stinger. And then I play the individual elements, and then I play them all together, and then you can hear the magic. I'm doing it very simply. I'm not like fading in 100% and doing all the extra goodies that he had done to the elements that he had. But just to prove that he wasn't just a writer, director, producer, overall filmmaker guy, he also understood music and had a really good ear and knew how to layer stuff and source things correctly and take some score written for the movie, library music, put it all together, and you get this magic. And so I was wondering, where'd that track come from? That's a really wild track, and it was never on the album of any kind because it was an amalgam of multiple tracks. So gotta give people their credit, man. They just stuff comes along and it's really cool. This chat is kind of far away. It's hard for me to read here. Should have blown it up a little bit. Sucks getting old. Blow this up a tad so I can read it better. You want the Inky Test vocal sample? I mean, I can go back through my collections wherever they are and get it. The problem is, let me think how I did that. You know, I have them on the computer for sure, but the performance ones I used, which are of course a backup of what's on the computer, were stolen with my SP404. Those fuckers stole, along with some other projects I was working on. It was on a compact flash card, but I do have them on the computer somewhere. I just have to find them, probably in some backup somewhere. But yeah, that's another problem with losing this stuff is people take your projects, man. They don't just take your gear, they take your stuff you've worked on. All this original stuff that takes time and hours and hours and hours, and that, in a way, that probably hurts the most because I never got to finish some of the projects that disappeared with stuff stored on board. And so there you have it. So I have the Inky and Sass vocals and all the sound effects that went with it, but I have no idea where they are. In some folder or some hard drive somewhere. One day I'll find it. But yeah, I initially had joked about the sample pack, and Inky laughed about it, but then I don't think she really wanted it out there for people to make like embarrassing stuff with her on it. So that's why I opted not to put it out at that time. So who knows? Maybe somewhere down the line, if people promise to be respectful, maybe put it out there. But what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Oh, hey Chris. Yeah, watch it. According to some, my audio is a little bit jacked up, but I just redid some stuff, did a really quick test, and started streaming. So I've got a combination of A10 mini settings that were probably off, the master mixer and the JP-8000 itself are all probably slightly off in different ways, so it might be not loud enough but still distorted, or what, and every patch is a little bit different. So I tried to use the StreamYard as the intermediary to basically act as a limiter, so at least stuff is, contained. But apparently that didn't help. So what I need to do is hook up a proper limiter instead of using StreamYard as a limiter, because I use a limiter on my Machina Plus for lots of stuff, and it's wonderful. I can just not worry about clipping and all kinds of stuff. I can get a little more crazy with stuff, and there's always some kind of governor in there that basically keeps it from going off the rails and having to redo it all over again when I may never get a take the same way that I want. So the limiter is there to save me from having to redo everything, get the timing right and all that stuff. So, but yeah, good old Inky. She was a amazing, powerful force, getting so many people who never thought they would do a hardware jam to join. We still can't get Kent to join. That's the one holdout is Kent. He won't join, although he has the chops to do it. He just doesn't want to. He would have been good in the last one, the Blade Runner challenge, because he could just do some Spongellis and he's all set. But yeah, she was great because she was super nice to people. I mean, everyone's got a different skill level and different output here and there. She was always positive no matter what came out of people, always encouraging, always getting people to subscribe to channels and like stuff, and the whole social experiment of YouTube YouTube music stuff. Sorry, I dropped my water. Hold on a second. So yeah, that's a big hole left. Well, no more cool music from Inky. No more extreme positivity. I mean, the group is very good, and they carry the torch for her, I think, pretty well. But it's just it's an element missing. It's a recipe with a missing major ingredient. But yeah, So like Paul was saying, he watched the streams. She's commented on videos all the time. She made all kinds of crazy comments and some. Even she commented on some of my old SoundCloud stuff, which I did like 10 years ago or whatever. At this point, almost 10 years ago, and so that was nice. I just mentioned, hey, you like Circuit? Check out my first jam. I put it on my SoundCloud thing, my first ever Circuit jam. Before they had all the upgrades and all the cool stuff in the cloud, it was just me tweaking stuff as best I can with what was built in. Until later on, you could change a lot and save presets and all that kind of stuff outside the box and load your own custom samples and all that stuff. You couldn't do that when I first was jamming on it. And she got into the Circuit game a little bit late when that was already all there. And so I'm like an old school Circuit user. But then I was on the fence about the Circuit Mono Station, which is basically a Base Station 2 Circuit style with some extra goodies. And finally convinced me that I should get one of those too. So, and it's a cool unit, but it's quirky as hell. I mean, Base Station 2 I think is a lot easier to use because it's just more laid out like a typical synth. And the Base Station 2 is, the Circuit Mono Station is really clever. But man, it's really weird too, in its own way. And because they didn't get the Aphex mode like the Base Station 2 is, it's even more limited in some ways than the Base Station 2 is. So within a certain sound set, you're very limited timbral options versus Aphex mode, where you just every key is a different sound, and it's, if you guys haven't tried that, it's crazy. Also, I think they added better use of paraphony on Base Station 2 with updates. And the Mono Station, I don't know, I gotta check, maybe they have updates for it, but I think they never quite got as far as those features go on the Base Station 2. But it's just more Christopher Huggett, speaking of passing, more Christopher Huggett, amazing tech, He's got his hands all over that. I wasn't too fond of the first PWM synth release. I tried one at a store. Pretty aggressive, kind of remind me of the Venom a little bit. Noisy, crazy, just way out there. But I don't know. Mini keys, I'm not totally adverse to the mini keys, but I don't know. It was cool, but it wasn't as fun. And immediately, maybe with some reading about it, I could get more out of it than I was getting in the store. I think the one after that Huggett worked on, his last project, is much more interesting. So if I were going to get one of those, I would get the second one they made. The Mantis, I think. Because Malevolent's pretty good, but I think Mantis is cooler. Still has a lot of aggression, but also has a lot more going on, it seems. Of course, there's more money too. So, and in my situation, I ain't buying anything for a while. Yeah, Inky was always jamming, as far as I know. She was part of that KDK DJs, which became a different name now. She's doing other stuff here and there. So sometimes she would just disappear, and like, where'd Inky go? She's, I'm on some other stream, doing some other music stuff. So she was all over the place. I think the only thing she didn't do is the VMOM, the virtual EMOM thing that those guys ran for a while. That's unfortunately stopped. I guess they mainly did it because of COVID. For EMOMs that couldn't run, but it's out of the UK. Some cool guys, and I jumped in at some point. I saw their post somewhere, and I basically you could set up to do a live thing, but that's real sketchy since it's on the internet and timing and all that kind of stuff. So most people just upload a video of something you just made, which is basically live to video, so it's kind of not that different. And I did that several times. That was fun. Got to do some kind of remixes of stuff I've done at other imams, and some stuff I just did for Hardware Jams, and so that was kind of fun. So that's one thing I think she didn't do is the VMoms, but she was doing other stuff, so that's cool. Venom is well, you can see Ty loves the Venom, right? I know Ian hates it, so it's not for everybody. But if you like dirty, nasty, aggressive stuff, like you have an MS-20, or stuff through guitar pedals, or whatever, just mishmash of this and that, it's pretty. It's a pretty cool thing. It's just the worst thing about it is, well, two things mainly. It was kind of unfinished. They made an editor for it, which I don't think it runs in modern Windows or Mac. So you'd have to run an old version to do it. And the other thing is, they, for whatever reason, because they're trying to keep the cost down, they put a LED screen in there. It has a backlight and everything, so it's easy to read as far as the light. But it's this broken up segment display with big gaps between the segments, like those old cheap Radio Shack watches where the LED segments aren't tight, where they actually kind of touch together at the angles. There's a big gap between this, so it just has a kind of a cheap, spaced out look. It just doesn't look, and it had that. It's the only synth I ever saw that had the characters look like that. I go, what are they thinking with this? It looks dumb. So other than that, and again, the lack of kind of upgrades and support or whatever else, if you're happy with it out of the box, it was pretty cool. And it did a lot of the stuff that like the old Alesis Micron did, where it had a kind of a groove mode where some patches had splits, multiple splits. So there'd be like a kind of a kick drum thingy over here that would kick off a basic rhythm with some stuff, and that was latched. And while that's fired off, now you can start playing other stuff, and it's all synced with the common time in that patch. So you could just sit there and noodle and jam and make live techno basically with a few different splits on a patch. And for a keyboard that's not very expensive and, you know, looks kind of funky, it had a lot of capabilities. Some beautiful sounds, some nasty sounds, some weird quirky sounds, these weird multi-patches where you have essentially a groove box on a preset. And I think that was very clever. And the editor was pretty good, but again, I think I tried to use editor. It didn't work anymore. At least it wasn't cloud-based, so it didn't die. You just have to be able to use it on the operating system that it runs on. But yeah, it's been a while since I even touched that. I just basically mainly messed around with the stuff it came with. But, you know, it had a little matrix thing for knobs, like on a Evolver or something like that. So you could easily do some quick editing without the deep menu diving stuff. And, I don't know, had some cool, aggressive, and nice sounds on it. I used it on a few little jams with friends years ago. But yeah, so I guess the only two real holdouts for it are Ty and me, because people generally, you mentioned that, they go, oh, but you know, it was M Audio was kind of dying at the time. They got swallowed up by, I think Avid swallowed up M Audio, and so a lot of their products either got rebranded or shelved. So the Venom literally just came out. It was announced at NAMM or something like that, and then they immediately had a sale, like $200, you know, brand new, ship right to you. I'm like, what? Either it's broken or it's crappy. How could they sell something that does all this for $200? Because they were supposed to be like $400 or $500. And this is before Behringer was doing all their synth stuff, so it was like a steal for what it did. And for $200, how can you go wrong? I mean, when the Timberwolf went to $200 for a while before they stopped making it. People are gobbling those up, even though they were crap. Because $200, you could find something to do with $200. It's a little more than a Volca, but it's pretty cheap for a synth that has quite a few features in it, especially something like Venom. So you saw them online for years after for $200, but I mean you could actually buy it for $200 brand new, and they would ship it to you. It wasn't in the stores that I saw. Maybe some stores had it. So it has this whole weird history of coming out at the wrong time. It's just they had some internal problems. The company was being converted, bought out, whatever, and so inventory had to move. It's like Avid probably said, "We don't want this thing. We don't even make synths. We're a audio editor. Well, the digital design stuff used to be part of Avid, but we're like Pro Tools and stuff like that, and video software. We don't want to make synths." So they basically had to get rid of that stuff right away. It's like, hurry up, cut our losses, make a little bit of money back. It's kind of crazy. Fismo display. Well, I mean, it's not about the display as much as the weird layout and the Fismo knobs. That was kind of stupid, right? FIZMO knobs. And the fact that everything was under the hood. You had to use a weird editor or cobble one together yourself, or wait 20 years for some guy to make a really cool editor for it. It's kind of silly, right? But that was Alesis. They were risk takers, and I mean, look at the Andromeda. It's unfinished, it has all kinds of bugs, and poor Robert's trying to sell his, but can't quite get the money he wants for it, because everyone knows they're a ticking time bomb with the custom ASICs in there, that they die, it's never going to work again, like the Waldorf Wave. They're very powerful, and they can sound amazing. I did play one for half an afternoon once at a friend's house. We did some jams with it. I recorded some shit. And it was tons and tons of art patterns that were pretty good. But after a while, okay, it's enough art patterns. What else we got in here? Okay, some of these presets are pretty good. But like a lot of analog stuff, it's 16 MIDI channels of analog. But you layer too much analog, it gets muddy. So you got to pick a lot of thin patches, or some high, some low, whatever, and kind of figure it out, because as Wendy Carlos said many years ago, why she went digital for a long time, it just gets muddy unless you use really thinned out, wacky little patches. So most people never really, that I've heard or seen, did more than just a couple layers on an Andromeda, mostly one at a time, because they were just using it for noodling, or they realized it gets too busy. And it was buggy. I mean, I literally saw most of the bad things about it in that few hours I played with it. It had a couple hard crashes. I had to reboot it with the power cycling the button. It had some things where a knob was supposed to be a knob per function, was changing multiple values. You couldn't necessarily see it on the screen, but you could hear it. And there were some other famous glitches with it I'm forgetting about now. In fact, I had a post on Harmony Central years ago when that was more active than Gearspace was. And one of the guys, started a big war about, don't complain about Andromeda, it's a great unit. It's like, well, it's right at the end of their reign. It's one of the reasons Alesis died, right? And it wasn't finished. So who wants to spend that much money on something that's quirky and might crash on you in the middle of a gig, or has some other weird things that are supposed to be stuff you take for granted to work? And so some guy sent me a private message on there who was either friends with one of the engineers or one of the minor engineers on the project. I forgot now. This is like 15 years ago, something like that. And he's like, yeah, you're right. Most people don't want to own up to it because they have spent a lot of money on it. They have invested energy and time and maybe even their own work into this thing. They don't want to admit it's kind of a semi-failure, has a lot of problems, and is a ticking time bomb. So they get really defensive and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, well, it makes sense to me because I literally saw some of the problems that were written about and complained about online. It wasn't a made-up thing. And some people maybe never experienced that, or maybe have and don't want to admit it because they they covet the thing so much. They don't want to look foolish. So it's funny to get that reassurance from somebody who has like an inside person on that. It's kind of fun. That's one of the great things about private chat is you don't have to go and just have these flame wars on the open forum. You can have this fun discussion on the side with people before you decide to talk about something out in public. And you get some inside information and fun little stories. And so, and you know, the guy seemed pretty legit. I mean, obviously anyone could be lying, but what he said lined up with my experience with the unit. So that jived. It wasn't, you know, it wasn't just somebody making up some stuff, because I did see these problems that people did not want to admit were there. It's already been documented, you know, it's all over the place for years. But so yeah, another reason why people don't want to get something if it has a bad reputation for being unfinished or quirky or whatever, even if it looks cool, sounds cool. I think the A6 is ugly. The Andromeda A6 is really ugly, but it's very capable and can sound great, you know. In fact, for years before I got better synths, looking at getting something like a Virus or getting something like JP-8000 or whatever, and I was listening to these Vengeance sound demos, vengeance.de. These German guys make a lot of techno patches and stuff for synths, and they had a boatload of Andromeda demos that were really cool. I mean, this sounds great. But you know, I wasn't in front of the boards. I don't know if that was typical sounds or heavily tweaked or whatever. So I've heard good things come out of it, as well as stuff I've actually played with friends on it. Someone bought one. I think it was going to Estonia. His friend lives in Estonia. He's living here for a while, and he couldn't find one over there. So his friend, I guess he sent the friend some money. The friend bought it through my friend at Guitar Center Pro, so I got a deal on it. And then we got to play it at his place before they shipped it out. Went over there for 3-4 hours one day and just screwed around with it. And he's a live drummer with V drums, so it's like a TD-20, really good player. And I'm playing the Andromeda, and my friend was playing like a what was it, a Korg? It's a really weird kind of in between Korg. It wasn't a micro Korg, and it wasn't stuff that came right after that. It was somewhere in the middle. It's a funky little Korg synth. He was playing that. I was playing the Andromeda. The other guy's playing drums. And it was a blast because I had never really played in the same room with a real drummer before. Even though he's using a kit that's digital, he still has the chops. It sounded amazing. So that was a lot of fun too. That was a great experience. We made about 3 little tracks with it. I think they're on my SoundCloud somewhere. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So, yeah, what was that Korg called? Pro X, I think it was. I think it was a Korg Pro X. It was weird because it was short, like a micro Korg, but it had full-size keys, so it had a really short key bed. It's like an octave and a half or something like that, or 2 octaves max, something weird like that. It was a weird little box, but it sounded great. And my friend's a good player. He's also good at playing guitar, and so he was just noodling. I basically just picked because it's really hard to do arps and rhythms and stuff all at the same time if you're not completely in sync with everybody. So I would just fire off an arp and start noodling a little bit, and then the drummer would go, "Oh, okay, cool." You play on top of that, and I try not to screw up because sometimes if the legato stuff is set wrong or whatever, you could fuck up the timing, changing notes really quickly with your arps. And then my friend was kind of in between, filling in the notes and the gaps and improvising. It was a fun little jam session. Like I said, about 3. I think it was 3 recordings. I called it Estonian Jam or something like that. But it was fun. Just we got in a little groove, and it, it's not going to win any awards, but for my friend and I who played a lot together, and this guy I never met before, to sit in a room and just start screwing around with some gear I never played before and come up with some little jams. It was fun. It was a cool experience. And again, play with a live drummer was just a whole different thing. I love playing with drum machines because it lets you do whatever you want. But to get that feel in there and that risk and that sense of kind of danger, can you fuck this up or can you make it sound cool and add a little swing on the fly? And it was fun. I would do it more if I knew more local drummers. But I mean, I bought a TD kit of my own, but I don't put any time to practice it. It's just I got it because it was on sale, and I want to learn to play sticks at some point because I do a lot of hand drum stuff. But it all takes time. You just got to have the time, and if you're busy, trying to learn how to play something, and then you're trying to learn some synthesis stuff and making new sample packs and working out chords and stuff, and then you got to go. I got to learn some independent hand-foot movement on a drum kit. It's like, Jesus Christ, that's a lot of stuff, But I'm up for it. That's why I bought it. Otherwise, I would have just shied away from it. But also, it's cool because the Brain allows MIDI control much better than some other stuff that was cheaper. So either put an SD card in it or put a just MIDI it to anything, and so you could have dog bark kits or cat screaming or humpback whale sounds, whatever you want. I mean, you just make weird sound collages with your drums that aren't even normal rhythms. It's just fun to have alternative triggers, like some of the other alternative shit that I got. So anyway, it's getting late enough. I should probably do some more clean up in here and stuff and figure out some kind of food thing, just a snack. But thanks for hanging out, guys. And again, I hope the audio was good. It sounded good when I started. Some of the volume patches were a little off. At least it was off in this room. But I can't. The problem is I can't. My current configuration with I'm not using those pass-through utilities on the computer, so everything's coming out of the mixer into the ATEM Mini right into the stream. So and because I want to be able to hear people chat if they do join on the stream, I currently have to have the headphone plugged into the computer directly, not into audio interface outside where I can hear what I'm playing there. So I have to leave the speakers on in the room to play, and sometimes the speakers sound great, but then you guys say it's too low, and other times the speakers sound distorted, but then you say it sounds good in the stream. So it's a weird balance. I'll try to dial in better for next time, but it is the way it is. So thanks again, guys, and be careful out there. Watch your shit. Watch out for assholes. And check out PSN tomorrow. And then I guess Ranzy's here in the chat. Thanks for coming, Ranzy. So we got Ranzy on Saturday, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So see you guys later. Take it easy.